Prabhupada Paramahansa Parivrajakacarya Stottara Satasrimat His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Shakra Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. That was lovely. You have a beautiful voice.
Yes, lovely.
And the mridanga, not so bad.
He's joking.
You're very good. What's your name?
Mohan,
Mohan. How old are you?
9.5.
9.5. Stand up. You're very tall. Tall and very intelligent. Yes, he's a very intelligent boy. Very good mridanga player. Thank you. You can see.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming today because we are doing this, I think, for the first time without our regular host here, but we are very grateful to have Prabhuji and Mataji here. They are very senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada, have spent more than 50 years of their life serving this mission. And so we are very grateful to have them here to give us their inspiration and guide us through this journey of Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Prabhu, for the talk. So, Achutana Prabhu, maybe 13.67.
I can find. Everybody get a book?
Yeah. Put it up on the screen too.
Mm-hmm.
Around 7:45,
I'm sorry.
around 7:45, 7:50.
Yeah. Yes. I'll finish. Okay.
Anything?
Okay. You ready to start? Are we expecting more people?
They will come
In dribs and drabs, yes. Like the cows coming home from milk. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Is it spelling?
No, you keep it.
Well, you keep-
No, there's more than that.
There's more? There's more?
It's okay.
Hare.
It's all right.
Okay, are the verses there?
Yeah.
Do we chant them together? Yes? Mahabhutanya Hankaro Udir Avyaktameva Cha Indriyani Dashaikam Cha Panchachendriya Gocharaha Ichcha Dvesha Sukham Dukam Sangatas Chaitana Tritihi Etat Chitram Samasena Savikaram Udaritam Mahabhutanyat Ankaro Udira Vyaktameva Cha Indriyani Dashaikam Cha Panchachendriya Gocharaha Ichcha Dvesha Sukham Dukam Sanghatas Chaitana Tritahi Etat Chaitram Samasena Savikaram Udahritam. Anyone want to try? Or we'll move on to the word for word. We'll move on. Mahabhutani, the great elements. Ahankara, false ego. Buddhi, intelligence. Avyaktam, the unmanifested. Eva, certainly. Cha, also. Indriyani, the senses. Dasha ekam, 11. Cha, also. Pancha, 5. Cha, also. Indriya gocharaha, the objects of the senses. Ichcha, the desire. Dvesha, hatred. Sukham, happiness. Dukkam, distress. Sangataha, the aggregate. Chaitana, living symptoms. Dritahi, conviction. Etat, all this. Chaitram, the field of activities. Samasena, in summary. Savikaram, with interactions. Udahitam, exemplified. Translation: the 5 great elements: false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses and the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and convictions. All these are considered, in summary, to be the field of activities and its interactions. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. From all the authoritative statements of the great sages, the Vedic hymns, and the aphorisms of the Vedanta Sutra, the components of this world can be understood as follows. First, there are earth, water, fire, and air and ether. These are the 5 great elements, Mahabhuta. Then there are false ego, intelligence, and the unmanifested stage of the 3 modes of nature. Then there are 5 senses for acquiring knowledge, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. Then 5 working senses, voice, legs, hands, anus, and genitals. Then above the senses, there is the mind, which is within and which can be called the sense within. Therefore, including the mind, there are 11 senses altogether. Then there are the 5 objects of the senses, smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. Now, the aggregate of these 24 elements is called the field of activity. If one makes an analytical study of these 24 elements, then he can very well understand the field of activity. Then there are desire, hatred, happiness, and distress, which are interactions, representations of the 5 great elements in the gross body. The living symptoms, represented by consciousness and convictions, are the manifestations of the subtle body, mind, ego, and intelligence. These subtle elements are included within the field of activities. The 5 great elements are a gross representation of the false ego, which in turn represents the primal stage of false ego, technically called the materialistic conception, or tamasa buddhi, intelligence in ignorance. This further represents the unmanifested stage of the 3 modes of material nature. The unmanifested modes of material nature are called pradhan. One who desires to know the 24 elements in detail, along with their interactions, should study the philosophy in more detail. In Bhagavad Gita, a summary only is given. The body is the representation of all these factors, and there are changes of the body, which are 6 in number. The body is born, it grows, it stays, it produces byproducts, then it begins to decay, and at the last stage, it vanishes. Therefore, the field is a non-permanent material thing. However, the Kshetrajna, the knower of the field, its proprietor, is different. Good evening, if you have just arrived. Good evening. Come in. Come in. You need a book? Are there enough books? Are there more books? No? Maybe you can share with someone. You can see there? No worries. No worries. Okay. So we're all, you've been progressively studying Bhagavad Gita, yes? And this is where we're up to, yes? One of my favorite chapters, too. So, does anyone have any questions about what we've just read? No questions? What is it all? Well, we'll read the verses again. The 5 great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind. Hare Krishna. Do I know you? Everywhere I go, he comes. My very good friend. The 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and convictions, all these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. The field of activities, Chetra, the Kshetra, Kurukshetra, name of Kurukshetra, place of pilgrimage. Kshetra means a field. So this body is also seen as a field of activities. And as the last point of the purport explains to us, the body is the representation of all these factors, and there are changes of the body, which are 6 in number. The body is born, it grows, it stays, it produces byproducts, then it begins to decay, and at the last stage, it vanishes. Therefore, the field is a non-permanent material thing. However, the Kshetragya, the knower of the field, its proprietor, is different. We are the Kshetragyas. We are different from the field. The field exists as a combination of subtle and gross. Prabhupada explains, we have 2 material bodies. We have the gross body, which we can see, we can smell, we can hear it, we can touch it, and we can taste it. These are the objects of the senses, and the active senses are explained, and the working senses are explained, all in this purport. It's all very clearly explained. So, but we are, that's the gross body, and then there's the subtle body, made up of mind, intelligence, and false ego. False ego is the first covering of the soul, as it's explained here. The 5 great elements are a gross representation of the false ego, which in turn represents the primal stage of false ego, technically called the materialistic conception, or tamasa buddhi, intelligence in ignorance. This further represents the unmanifested stage of the 3 modes of material nature. The unmanifested modes of material nature are called pradhan. So, tamas is one of the modes of material nature. And the false ego, before the modes of material nature begin to work, that's the point, the unmanifests. Before they begin to work upon us, what is called the false ego, the most subtle material energy, is generated from tamaguna. And this gives us what is called here a tamasic intelligence. In one sense, it seems like a contradiction, but it is, intelligence is working on all levels, even within the modes of material nature. Intelligence is working, but it's colored. It's colored, just like these lights. If you put different filters in, if we put a filter in, or sometimes like the theater lights, they'll have the white light, and then there's a thing that rotates in front, and sometimes there'll be a green filter, blue filter, red filter. So although there's a white light there, the filter causes everything to be colored. So first of all, there's this false ego that covers us. We are pure spirit soul. That's all explained very nicely in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verses number 11 to 30. These are the verses, the first instructions Krishna gives. So we see in chapter 2, verse 7, Arjuna surrenders to Krishna and says, now I'm confused. I'm confused about my duty. And I've lost all composure due to miserly weakness. In this state, I am asking you to clear up my confusion. Now I'm a soul surrendered to you. Please instruct me. So Arjuna has become completely submissive to Krishna. Whatever Krishna tells him, he will hear without argument. There's been an argument. He's presented an argument for not fighting, not doing his duty. So then Krishna explains, he says, while speaking learned words, and he is speaking learned words, Arjuna speaks very much on the basis of Vedic principles. But Krishna says, while speaking learned words, you're mourning for what is not worthy of grief. In other words, Arjuna won't fight because he thinks, I'm going to have to kill my friends and relatives and teachers. And this will be fratricidal. This will bring about all kinds of degradation in society and so on. So these are the learned words that Arjuna speaks. And Krishna dismisses them straight away. While speaking learned words, you're mourning for what is not worthy of grief. And those who are seers of the truth lament neither for the living, the wise, that lament neither for the living nor the dead. And then he immediately starts. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings. And that goes all the way through to verse 30. Krishna describes all of the qualities of the soul, of the living being, the dead. We say the soul. Prabhupada was in a kind of compromised position, coming to the Western world to try to present Sanatana Dharma, when everybody's just religious, and there's a dominating language, and the idea of the soul is there. But there's not clear knowledge of the soul, except in Bhagavad Gita. And the soul, in verse 12, Dehino shvinyata dehe komaram yogadam jara tata dehantara prati dhiras tatra namuyati. We have Dehino, he who lives in the body, and the body is the deha. So you have the deha and the dehi. There is the body, and then there's the entity, the living entity that is living in the body. This is the soul. And this dehi who's living in the deha, the first thing Krishna says, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings. We're the dehi, we're the dehi that lives in the deha, the living entity. But we are under the false conception or the misconception that we are this body. And this is due first and foremost to this covering, this tamasa buddhi, the false ego. With this tamasa buddhi, we learn a lot of very astounding things, as Bhagavad Gita is developed in Krishna's teachings. For instance, in the 3rd chapter, we have Prakriti Kriyamanani Gunai Kamani Savasha Ahankara Vimudatma Katahamiti Manyate. That the Ahankara Vimudatma. So you take that backwards. The Atma Vimuda, who's become very foolish because of false ego. Pretty much Sanskrit and English are in reverse. And you can pretty much work it out from, you see that as you read. You work backwards and you've got the English pretty much. So the bewildered living entity under the influence of the three modes of material nature. So that's illustrating what's being said here. The bewildered living entity, bewildered by false ego. The bewildered living entity, then prakriti kriyamanani gunai kamanisa, under the influence of the modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are actually carried out by nature. So this is a state of bewilderment for the living entity when he enters the material world. The first thing that happens is that he becomes covered by this false ego. And then then the covering becomes progressively more gross. Next, from false ego, the most subtle, then intelligence, the next most subtle, then mind, the next most subtle. And this combination of mind, intelligence, and false ego constitutes the subtle body, wherein we carry our conceptions of life, wherein we carry our tastes, our appetites, and so on. All of this is within the chitta. This is altogether called the chitta. But this chitta is fundamentally coming as a result of this tamasa buddhi, this most subtle bewilderment of the living entity. So from there on, everything is a perversion of reality. And then we go more gross. So it goes earth, water, fire, air, ether. So ether, fire, water, air, water, and earth. These are the gross elements. Of course, ether is like that. It's like a borderline between subtle and gross. But then you have earth, water, fire, and air. Air is also air is subtle. When you get down to the fire is the really gross elements is the mixture of earth and water. Earth and water, and then fire. So these elements all together are what constitute our subtle body and our gross body. And as it says here, the five great elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, are a gross representation of the false ego. So the false ego is that very subtle energy which causes us to develop an attachment to whatever body we are in. And this is going on since time immemorial. And then, within this situation, you have all these other things happening that you can read again at your leisure. And this is how our life becomes. Then the modes of material nature come into action as well. And all the different states are coming about as a result of the interaction of the modes of nature. And so you have what is called infinite variegatedness. Infinite variegatedness. Like, just we look around here, look at each other, we see we're all different. Our bodies are different. Our states of mind are different. Prabhupada, in one lecture, he says, everyone's consciousness is different. Everyone has, because ultimately everyone is a unique individual. Everyone. I talked about this last time. It's in a sense to say every is not, it doesn't work because there's unlimited numbers of living entities. And in the material world, this is our field. This material, but these two intertwined bodies, subtle and gross. The gross body comes about as a result of the state of the consciousness that we carry in our subtle body at the end of a previous life. Dehino shvinyata dehe komaram yovanam jaratata deyantara dira statra namuyati. One who is actually self-realized and has become, the Prabhupada uses the word sober, not inebriated. One's consciousness is no longer inebriated by the influence of false ego. That has to happen. Prabhupada gives a very nice lecture. You can look in reference to this. On verse 8 of the second chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he gave a series of lectures in New Vrindavan in 1972. They're called the Bhagavad Dharma lectures. And they begin with verse 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can't remember how many of them there are. But in verse 8, Prabhupada gives a very clear picture of how, first of all, we have to accept, as he's saying in this purport, the body is the representation of all these factors, and there are changes to the body, which are 6 in number. The body is born, it grows, it stays, it produces byproducts, then it begins to decay, and at the last stage it vanishes. That is the inevitable situation that we are all in. These bodies are temporary, and they will cease to exist, and we will have to abandon them and move on. And how we move on is that we are carried in our subtle body. Also within the subtle body, Supersoul is there with us. That's explained later on in this chapter. Supersoul is ever present with us in our sojourn in the material world. And he, as he says, as Krishna says in 1861, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hriddeshajuna Tishati. I'm situated in the heart of every living entity, and I'm directing their wanderings in this material world, because Krishna is omniscient, and you get a very good picture about that in the purport to chapter 5, verse 15, that explains how our entanglement in the material world is based upon desire. And Krishna is the witness to all of our desires. And he directs our wanderings in the material world so that those desires can be pursued. I say pursued because we, by our entanglement and association with the modes of material nature, guna sangha, we create karma for ourselves. So we may have some desire, but we don't necessarily fully qualify for the full manifestation of that desire. Prabhupada likens it to this body being an apartment or a house, and when it's finished, you have to move to another apartment or another house. And you may have a desire for a certain kind of body. But the actual level of body that you will acquire and the condition of that body will be based upon literally problems what you can afford. You might want to live in a penthouse, but all you can afford is a basement flat. Or he gives another example about cars. You might want a Rolls Royce, but you can't afford anything more than a little Kia, whatever it is, smallest model, or a Ford Fiesta or something. That's all you're qualified. That's what you get. But the point is, although it is also made up of temporary elements, we are totally, what is the word? Entangled, entrapped, encaged, encased in this subtle body. And then we get different gross bodies that are developed within the wombs of the particular mother that we are going to take birth from. So Prabhupada explains then, don't worry about this gross body. What will be, will be. And what you will get is what you'll get. You don't have to worry. There's one lecturer, he's talking, and he says, he's in Bombay, in those days, Mumbai. He says, how many people in this Bombay are trying to become millionaires? Yes. And he said, and still there is man lying down care of pavement. So you may try and strive all your life to become a millionaire or now a billionaire, or whatever, but it's not necessarily going to happen. You're going to get what you're going to get, as they say, not one penny more, not one penny less. Exactly what you get is what you deserve by virtue of your past activities. Then he explains in this lecture in 128 in New Vrindavan in 1972, he said, you have to educate your subtle body. You have to educate your subtle body to come out of the influence of the false ego. We are just covered by false ego. So we have to uncover the real self. We have to uncover what we actually are. And that's a process of education. And Prabhupada says you have to do it. You do it under guidance, but the real work is you have to do it. In other words, you have to change your consciousness. You have to change your focus in life. And that has to be done on the basis of knowledge. That knowledge is imparted to us by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita and elucidated by the bona fide representative of Krishna. I say elucidated because there are many interpretations of Bhagavad Gita. And an interpretation is based upon a speculation. I think this means this, and I think that means that. This is interpretation. But one has to study Bhagavad Gita, as Krishna says, Tadvidi pradipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tadvadarshana. One has to study Bhagavad Gita under the guidance of a devotee of Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is for the devotees of Krishna. And Krishna says in the 7th chapter, Naham prakasha savasya yoga maya samavrita mudo yam savabhutani saga yanti parantapa. Loko yamajam avyayam. I can't remember that verse, the second half. Naham prakasha savasya yoga maya samavritaha mudo yam abhijanati Who knows it? Verse number 27. 20. Oh, I'm sorry, not 20. 24. 24. Naham prakasha savasya yogamaya samavritaha mudo yam nabijanati loko mama jamavyayam. I am never manifested to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and inexhaustible. And that comes immediately after Krishna says that avyaktam vyaktim apanam manyate mam abudaya parambhava majananto mamavyayam anuttamam. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. So there it is. This is interpretation. Krishna's explaining there that with a poor fund of knowledge, people will speculate about Bhagavad Gita and who's this Krishna and what does this mean, and without actually understanding who Krishna is, and therefore without understanding the lucidity of his instructions. They are lucid and simple and clear instructions in Bhagavad Gita, but you don't get it. It's not revealed to you until you take the process. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upatekshanti te jnanam jnanamastadvadarshana. You have to approach Krishna by the way Krishna says you must approach him. It's protocol. It's protocol. In order to get access to any big person in the world, you have to follow protocol. I can't just, go down Pennsylvania Avenue to the White House, walk in the gate, walk through security, walk into the building, find where the Oval Office is, walk in and say, look, I don't think you're running the country very well. You can't do that. No, you can't do that. That's just for the president of this little, where is America? Where you go 10 miles up in the sky, you don't see the White House, you don't see the president. Insignificant. What to speak of the Lord of all creation? You don't just walk in. You don't get access. And the most confidential knowledge. Krishna says to Arjuna at the beginning, well, how's our time? How's time? What's the time?
26.
Huh?
26.
7:26? Okay. Krishna says at the beginning of the 9th chapter, which is called the most confidential knowledge, I'm going to reveal this to you because you're never envious of me. And what is this knowledge? What is this most confidential knowledge? That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mata parataram nanyat kinchidasti rananjaya mai sava mitam protam sutri maniganariva. There's no truth superior to Krishna. This is not common knowledge in this material world, especially in this Kali Yuga. So we have to hear Bhagavad Gita from authoritative sources. And that sound vibration, that will give us, as we assimilate that, this jnana vijnana sahitam yasgatva mokshase, Subhat Krishna says. Itang tu te guyataman prakshami anasuyave jnana vijnana sahitam yasgatva mokshase Subhat. This knowledge is both theoretical and realized. Realized means you take the instructions, you apply them, and you get realization. You get understanding by personal experience, by direct perception, by direct experience. It's not just a bunch of concepts that you can argue about and speculate that it may be like this, maybe like that. Because the pure devotee of the Lord presents Krishna as Krishna presents himself. And Krishna presents himself very clearly in the Bhagavad Gita. And he does it in a very humble way too, because he doesn't just come on to Arjuna straight away. Now look here, I'm the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He just says, I, you, all of us, we're all eternal. We're all eternal. But then he gradually reveals the truth of the difference between himself and us. The sameness is there, but then there is the difference. And the difference is the most important thing. Because it is through realizing what is the difference that we can again reestablish our lost relationship with Krishna through the practice of devotional service, which begins with hearing. Actually, the cultivation of all knowledge begins with hearing. Why do you speak the languages that you speak? Because you heard them. Simple. It's a fact. It's not said in these politically correct days, but 60, 70 years ago, a person who could not hear was described as deaf and dumb. Dumb meaning they could not speak, because you can't form words with your tongue and vibrate your larynx unless you begin by imitating what you're hearing. So hearing is the most important sense. So therefore the process of bhakti begins Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing, chanting, hearing, then chanting. If you don't hear, you can't chant. But if you do hear, then jnana vijnana sahitam yasgatva, this combination of jnana vijnana, this gyatva, through this moksha, you become liberated in your consciousness. You become liberated from false ego. Because the next verse is Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, Pavitramidam Uttaman, Praksha, Pratyaksha, Vagamam Dharmyam, Susukam Katam Avyaya. This is the king of knowledge, the king of education, the most confidential knowledge, Gu Yatama. It is the purest knowledge. It is not contaminated by any tamasi buddhi. It is pure, coming from the transcendental platform, from the lips of the always pure, never contaminated Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the master of all, including these three modes of material nature, Devi Yesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duradyaya. This is mine, it's all mine. You are mine, everything is mine. We have to come to that understanding. Everything belongs to Krishna. I belong to Krishna, and I belong with Krishna. But that separation has been created and maintained by this tamasa buddhi. So Krishna says, Tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mamupriyanti te. Unto those who are constantly engaged in worshipping me with love, I give them the understanding, the buddhi yoga, by which they can come to me. And this is the purpose of the human form of life within these 8,400,000 species, to become liberated from the influence of false ego. First step. But to become liberated from something is, what am I going to be liberated into? Just getting free, that's all right. I get free, but I'm not going to, but I'm active. I'm the active principle. I'm the active entity. I'm the living entity. This body is only active because I'm in it. So when I'm out of it, where do I go? Well, Krishna says, well, you could come to me. But it's not just a question of getting out of this gross material body, because by the educational process that we are given and by which we live, then at the time of death, we don't just shed the gross body, we shed the subtle body. And leave that behind.
Just something about
Yes.
that. Is this subtle body just on misconceptions of who we are, who we identify ourselves?
The subtle body is the body within which we carry these misconceptions due to the influence of false ego. Just like I said, everything through the filter is seen in a particular way. So the basic filter, the basic cipher is ahankara. I am the doer. Aham akara. I'm the doer. I'm the no. I'm the one who's in control here. And that's a misconception. And that's the fundamental misconception. Yeah. And then on that, then we come in touch with the modes of material nature, and all kinds of desires are generated, material desires. And then we pursue those desires with the understanding that I can get whatever I want in this material world. Any questions? Thank you all for coming. Nice turnout. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 23 people. Where did Adinath go?
We just went to the rest.
24 people. And us is 26. That's pretty good. Thursday night, middle of the week, you got work to do, and you came here. I'm honored. I feel honored. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about this?
Do people understand the forms of?
Do people understand?
I do. They understand the form of the subtle body.
The subtle body is an ephemeral form of this body. It's the subtle form of what you see grossly. That subtle form is that subtle conception in the mind in contact with the gross material elements brings about the gross manifestation of the form that you carry in your mind. Yes?
Can we think of it as when?
Sorry, sir?
So can we think of it as when air fills a room?
Sorry?
When there's air around, it goes and fills a room. And the same way, subtle body sort of fills this the gross body that we have.
Yes, the subtle body is pervading the gross body. It's even beyond the gross body. The mind has an aura. You feel people's minds. Yes, you feel subtle things from people. Yeah. But within all of that, within the subtle airs of the body, the soul is hovering there. It's a very complex science.
Yeah.
It's a very complex science. But the simple fact of the matter is, we're within this body, within this mind, within this chitta, and present alongside us is the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his super soul expansion. And he's our chaperone in the material world. And he simply wants us to surrender to him.
Can I
And
ask another question?
sorry?
Can I ask another question?
You can ask as many questions as you
You
like.
know how Prabhupada says we have to educate our subtle body.
Yeah.
So, how do we do that? We, what we've learned, what we've heard,
Well, jnana
we start
vijnana.
applying it.
Yes. We have to hear how to live and why, how and why, and what, why and what and why to do it and how to do it. And then we make a choice. Because also in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna makes it very clear. If you want to go to the heavenly planets, there's a way of doing that. If you want to go to the planets of your ancestors, there's a way of doing that. If you want to go to live with ghosts and spirits, there's a way to do that. If you want to go to hell or heaven or anywhere in between, or there's ways, there's directions. It's like when you go into a modern day shopping center. Yeah, you get to the touch screen. You can go anywhere you want in the place, but you have to indicate where it is you want to go, and then the way is shown to you. This is how you go there. So you indicate to Krishna where you want to go by virtue of the desires that you hold on to, and then he takes you there.
So you're educating the mind and the intelligence.
Yes, you're educating your subtle body, and you're gradually dissolving the false ego. Yes. Are we done? Time to move on? What's the time? We're supposed to do 7:45?
It's 7:40. Yeah.
We've got 5 more minutes. Yes?
Yeah. Okay.
I was instructed 7:45.
Oh, okay.
So, any other questions? Is it all, are you clear?
This is very complex. Well, how do we infer it in simple? I mean, what should we remember or what should we practice from today's lesson.
from today's lesson? I'm in a very complicated situation, and my best friend Krishna will help me get out of it gradually as I practice putting these principles to work in my life based upon, first of all, this theoretical understanding. By hearing, just keep hearing. It's like my experience of this is, it's like when you are opening a safe where you have what do they call it? The combination lock. Click, 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 and then it opens. So sometimes in the beginning we can't get the combination quite right and it doesn't open. But practice and things become clearer. Accepting that, we're starting, as the verse says, Oma Gena Timirandasya. I was born in the darkest of ignorance. Yes. So the light of knowledge gradually penetrates the darkness of our ignorance. Just as the Vedic aphorism says, Tamasima Jyoti. So at least we develop respect for Bhagavad Gita, that in this book we have the supreme authority explaining everything to us. And gradually, it's like a jigsaw puzzle in one sense. You gradually put all the pieces together. It takes time and practice, but then the best things take time. It's not cheap. It's not a cheap thrill. It's not a quick hit. It's the purpose of life. So, and it takes time. It takes time for things to become substantial to us. They're ethereal and vague, but gradually, as our consciousness becomes purified through, if the simple answer to your question is just keep showing up. Just keep showing up and hearing this stuff. It gradually all fits together. Yes? Hare Krishna.
I just want to share a quick realization. So, a couple of years ago, I think I've tried to get into Gita or understand what it means, but it was all on my own through like YouTube videos, and it didn't make any sense. So I think, and now ever since it's just been a month, I think this is my 4th week, but I keep hearing one thing every time, that is, it has to be learned from somebody, from a guru.
Yes.
And I think now it hits me why I was not able to like relate to it, understand or adapt it or continue with it. It was like because I was trying to do it on my own, and it says like it has to be done under.
It's personal.
somebody.
It's personal.
Yeah.
It's personal. And Krishna makes it very clear. Tat vidi pratena pariprashnena sevaya. You have to approach a spiritual master in a humble state of mind. You have to question without challenging, and you have to render service. These 3 things, that's click, 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 and the door opens. But it's personal, and it's not a business transaction. You don't come, there's no fee. You're not enrolling in a course that you have to pay for. This is Sampradaya. Jai. Jagannath Swami ki Jai. So keep showing up, and everything will come. And then you'll be sitting here talking a group of people. Hare Krishna. Jai. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Thank you so much for the wonderful talk. It was really interesting. I have some questions. Maybe I'll also ask after.
You have some questions.
Yes.
You have to feed me first.
So,
Okay,
We'll,
you gonna sing Damodarastakam?
if you want to say,
I'm not a singer. If I sing, everyone will leave.
we'll,
Okay, let's
so we'll
go.
go to Damodarashtakam next. So this being the month of Kartik, I think this is the first time we are meeting in the month of Kartik. So we'll do Damodarashtakam, we'll sing the Damodarashtakam, and also we'll be offering ghee wigs. They're there. So we offer it to Damodar, we'll put a small photo of Damodar there and Bhakta. So yeah, we'll stand like this. Thank you.
Where's that drummer? Is he going to sleep? Huh?
Thank you for the lecture.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming.
Sorry, practical break.
That's okay. Thank you for coming. Better late than never. Very good.
So you can look up the lyrics and then I'll just put it there too.
You gonna play drum again? Go ahead. Yeah?